Why do we spend billions of dollars fighting weeds with back-breaking labor and synthetic poisons when nature has already engineered a specific class of plants designed to suffocate, shade, and chemically destroy competing weeds in a matter of weeks? The phenomenon of allelopathy, where certain plants act as biological chemical warfare agents, releasing natural toxins to assassinate competing seeds, was heavily downplayed by the chemical industry in the 1950s because they realized they could never patent a weed that kills other weeds. Number 1. Cereal rye, the king of allelopathy, commands the battlefield of weed control with a force both visible and invisible. Beneath the soil, its roots leak benzoxazinoids, natural chemical agents that sabotage the germination of small, seeded weeds like pigweed and lamb's quarters. Above ground, a dense mat of straw forms after termination, smothering any light-hungry invaders daring to break through. Extension plot trials show that when rye produces more than 8,000 pounds of biomass per acre, it can slash springweed biomass by up to 87%, a benchmark unmatched by any other cover crop. The practice is as precise as it is powerful. Sow 60 to 120 pounds of seed per acre in the fall. Let rye grow until it reaches anthesis, the peak of flowering, then flatten it with a roller crimper. This creates a living mulch that locks weeds out for weeks, but its chemical arsenal comes with a warning. The same benzoxazinoids that devastate weeds can linger in the soil, so sensitive crops require a 30 to 45-day buffer before planting. Cereal rye sets the ceiling for natural weed suppression, launching the era of biological chemical warfare in the field. No synthetic poisons required. In second place, mustard, known as the green fumigator, brings a volatile twist to natural weed control. When the lush green stands of Brassica juncea are chopped and quickly mixed into moist soil, a hidden arsenal is unleashed. Within minutes, the plant's glucosinolates break down, releasing isothiocyanates, a family of naturally occurring gases that mimic the action of commercial soil fumigants. The effect is dramatic. Field trials show that isothiocyanate concentrations peak in the first 30 minutes after incorporation, flooding the soil with a chemical fog that targets weed seeds and soil-borne pathogens alike. But this power comes with a warning. The biofumigation window is narrow. Timing is everything. For maximum effect, mustard must be incorporated at the vegetative or early bloom stage when glucosinolate levels are at their highest. Safety is paramount. Isothiocyanates are potent enough to irritate lungs and eyes, so a properly fitted respirator is essential during incorporation. After treatment, a waiting period of 2 weeks is advised before planting sensitive crops, giving the soil time to vent residual gases and ensuring young seedlings are not caught in the crossfire. Mustard's green fumigation broadens the chemical arsenal of natural weed suppression, but demands precision and respect for its living chemistry. Third on our list, sorghum sudan grass, the root assassin, takes weed warfare underground. Unlike its residue-based rivals, this summer giant strikes with living roots that exude a potent biochemical called sorgolein. Sorgoleone is a natural quinone released directly from the root zone, acting as a pre-emergent herbicide that blocks weed seeds from sprouting in the first place. Field and hydroponic trials show that even after the plant is mowed or grazed, the soil remains hostile to new weeds for 2 to 3 weeks thanks to lingering root exudates. In just 8 weeks, sorghum sudan grass towers up to 6 or even 8 feet tall, casting a dense shade that chokes out light-hungry invaders and builds up a thick biomass, perfect for summer cover in hot climates. But this living chemical shield comes with a warning. The same compounds that devastate weeds can also suppress sensitive follow-up crops. That is why extension agents recommend a pre-plant buffer of at least 2 to 3 weeks after termination, allowing the soil to clear before planting vegetables or small grains. For growers in warm regions, sorghum sudan grass delivers a double blow: instant root zone suppression and a jungle of green that leaves weeds nowhere to hide. Number 4. Canola, Brassica napus, better known in the field as the toxic mulch, deploys its power after harvest, not while standing tall. When its stems and leaves are chopped and left on the ground, they begin a slow-motion siege against weeds. As the residue decays, it releases a wave of natural chemicals, most notably isothiocyanates, that seep into the upper layer of soil. This creates a shallow, invisible barrier where small, seeded weeds struggle to sprout. Field trials confirm that this allelopathic zone can persist for 8 to 10 weeks, forming a medium-term blockade that outlasts most annual weed flushes, but does not linger so long as to threaten next season's crops. The effectiveness of this suppression depends on soil pH and rainfall. Neutral, moist soils see the strongest results, while heavy rain or alkaline conditions can dilute or degrade the chemical barrier. For growers, the timing is strategic. Canola residue works best as a post-harvest mulch, buying time before the next planting window. The practical outcome is clear. A single pass with the combine can set up 2 months of weed-free soil, no pesticides required. For those rotating crops, this 8 to 10 week window is a tactical pause, giving the next generation of seedlings a head start while weeds are chemically locked out. Number 5. Sunflower, the canopy killer, brings a double-edged strategy to the war on weeds. Towering stalks rise through the summer, their leaves unfurling into a living umbrella that can block out more than 90% of sunlight beneath. For weeds lurking in the shade, this is a death sentence. Without light, most annual invaders never even break the surface, and those that do remain stunted and pale. But the sunflower arsenal does not end with shade. Hidden in every leaf are sesquiterpene lactones, a class of natural chemicals that leach into the soil after rain or dew. These compounds, known to scientists as helianuols, slip into the root zone and sabotage the germination of rival seeds, creating a chemical dead zone that can persist for weeks. In lab assays, sunflower leaf leachate has been shown to cut weed seedling growth by more than half, while field surveys reveal bare, weedless ground stretching from trunk to drip line. The result is a two-pronged attack: deep shade from above and chemical suppression below. While sunflowers take longer to form a complete canopy than speedsters like buckwheat, their combined shadow and toxin effect delivers a lasting blackout for weeds. No sprays, no tillage, just the quiet, relentless power of a summer giant. Number 6. Winter wheat, the perennial weakener, fights a slower, quieter war against weeds that refuse to die. Unlike the blitz of rye or the chemical fog of mustard, winter wheat's real power emerges only after harvest, when its straw begins to break down on the soil. As this residue decomposes through rain and microbial action, it releases a steady drip of allelochemicals, natural plant toxins that seep into the root zone. These compounds do not deliver a knockout punch overnight. Instead, they undermine perennial weeds like Canada thistle and dandelion by steadily weakening their root systems and stalling new shoots. In residue trials, fields blanketed with winter wheat straw saw Canada thistle biomass drop by nearly 40% by the second spring, a slow but decisive erosion of the perennial stronghold. The timeline is key. While annual weeds may escape the first wave, perennials are gradually starved and stunted as the chemical curtain thickens over months. For farmers battling deep-rooted invaders that shrug off short-term tactics, winter wheat offers a patient, persistent solution, one that turns the natural process of decay into a drawn-out siege, setting the stage for the next generation of fast-closing cover crops to finish the job. Number 7. Buckwheat, the 14-day blanket, ushers in a new era of weed suppression, not through chemical sabotage, but by pure speed and shade. From the moment its seeds hit warm soil, buckwheat races ahead of every rival, closing its green canopy in as little as 2 weeks. This rapid blanket smothers early weeds before they even have a chance to break the surface, casting a dense shadow that blocks out the light all invaders crave. Extension time-lapse trials reveal a dramatic drop in weed density beneath buckwheat's cover, bare ground one day, a living shield the next. In just 4 to 5 weeks, buckwheat surges from seed to flower, leaving little time for weeds to regroup. The practical result is a flush of white blooms by week 5 and a field nearly free of annual competitors. But this furious pace comes with a trade-off. Buckwheat suppression is swift, yet short-lived. Its life cycle burns bright and fast, making it the ultimate tool for a rapid reset between main crops, or when a quick smother is needed before fall planting. No allelopathic residue, no lingering toxins, just a living blackout that gives growers a clean slate in record time. Number 8. Sunn hemp, the N giant, brings a tropical surge of green power to the fight against weeds. In the humid heat where most crops wilt, Sunn hemp rockets skyward, reaching 6 feet tall in just 60 days. This is more than a wall of stems and leaves. It is a living fortress that throws deep shade, shutting down weed seedlings before they can even imagine breaking the surface. But Sunn hemp's real secret is what happens beneath the soil. As a legume, it fixes atmospheric nitrogen, pumping up to 120 pounds of pure N per acre into the root zone. That is not just a fertility bonus. It is a game changer for soils starved of nutrients, feeding the next crop while starving out the competition. Field trials across Florida and the Gulf Coast show dense stands of Sunn hemp outcompeting pigweed, foxtail, and even stubborn grasses, leaving behind a thick mulch that keeps the soil cool and weed-free. The payoff comes fast. In just 2 months, growers harvest a mountain of biomass and a major nitrogen credit, all without a drop of synthetic fertilizer or herbicide. But this tropical giant is best suited for warm climates north of Zone 8. It falters with the first autumn chill. For growers in the Sun Belt, Sunn hemp delivers a double victory, a towering smother crop that feeds the soil while weeds wither in its shadow. Number 9. Cowpea, known to many as iron clay peas or simply the vining blanket, brings a relentless ground assault to the weed front lines. When summer heat and drought drive most crops to wilt, cowpea vines surge outward, weaving a living mat that hugs the soil and leaves weeds gasping for light. Unlike the towering vertical walls of Sunn hemp, cowpea's strategy is horizontal domination. In field trials, vining varieties achieve up to 90% soil coverage in under a month, even with temperatures soaring past 30 degrees Celsius. This dense canopy is not just for show. It physically blocks sunlight, starving annual weeds before they can break the surface. For market gardeners in the South and lower Midwest, cowpea's drought tolerance and ability to thrive on poor soils make it a practical, low-input ground cover. The choice between bush and vining forms matters. Bush types offer tidy rows but less coverage, while vining types sprawl aggressively, overwhelming bare patches and fence lines alike. While cowpea fixes moderate amounts of nitrogen, its real strength lies in its rapid, sprawling coverage, outcompeting weeds for every inch of soil and every drop of moisture. As a smother crop, it is versatile and easy to integrate, though its total biomass does not quite match the crushing weight of velvet bean. Still, for growers seeking a heat-hardy, fast-blanketing ally, the vining blanket delivers a near-instant blackout. No sprays, no tillage, just the silent power of a living mat. Number 10. Velvet bean, the tropical choker, brings an unmatched force to weed control in the world's warmest fields. Native to Mesoamerica and woven into the fabric of traditional agriculture from southern Mexico to Brazil, velvet bean's legacy is one of relentless conquest. Once the rains arrive and the heat settles in, this annual vine erupts, sending tendrils racing over the ground and up any stalk or fence in its path. Within a single 120-day frost-free season, velvet bean can reach towering heights of over 10 feet and lay down a crushing blanket of green, up to 4 tons of biomass per acre. The effect is immediate and brutal. Sunlight vanishes beneath the dense canopy, soil temperatures drop, and weed seedlings are left in the dark, unable to break through the living mat above. Ethnobotanical studies confirm what generations of tropical farmers have known. Velvet bean's rapid growth and sheer weight physically overwhelm even the most stubborn summer weeds, smothering pigweed, crabgrass, and nightshade before they can take hold. But its power comes with limits. Velvet bean demands heat and a long season, faltering at the first sign of frost. For growers in frost-free zones, it remains the ultimate smother crop, an aggressive, self-renewing shield that turns open ground into an impenetrable fortress, no chemicals required. Management is straightforward. Plant after the last frost, mow or roll before seed set, and watch as the next crop inherits a weed-free field beneath the remnants of a tropical jungle. Number 11. Oats, the frost-killed blanket, offers a different kind of weed suppression for cool climate growers. Sown in late summer or early fall, oats surge ahead with quick, leafy growth, closing ranks over bare soil and blocking sunlight from reaching weed seeds below. But the real magic happens when winter arrives. As temperatures dip below 20 degrees Fahrenheit, oats succumb to the freeze and collapse into a thick layer of straw. This natural die-off creates a persistent mulch that blankets the ground well into early spring. Extension trials show that this residue acts as a physical barrier, reducing weed emergence by up to 60% during the critical window before spring planting. Unlike living covers that demand mowing or crimping, oats require no special termination. Nature handles the job with the first hard frost. The result is a hassle-free, biodegradable mat that insulates the soil, conserves moisture, and delays the flush of spring weeds. For growers in northern regions, oats deliver a passive, low-risk strategy. Sow, let grow, and let winter do the work. By the time the soil warms, most weed seeds find themselves smothered under a lingering blanket of oat straw, buying precious weeks for the next crop to get established without the need for synthetic herbicides or extra labor. Number 12. Annual ryegrass, the topsoil thief, launches its campaign against weeds not with chemicals or towering shade, but with a dense network of roots that turns the upper 4 inches of soil into a battleground for moisture and nutrients. Each slender blade above ground is matched by a mat of fibrous roots below, weaving through the topsoil and intercepting every drop of water and trace of nitrogen before weeds can get a foothold. Researchers have measured root mass density in annual ryegrass stands that leaves little for competitors. Plots seeded at 20 to 30 pounds per acre show a drastic reduction in weed emergence, especially during cool, wet springs when weed seeds are most vulnerable. The strategy is simple. By outcompeting weeds for the essentials of life, annual ryegrass starves out rivals before they can even sprout. Establishment is straightforward. Broadcast or drill in fall, and within weeks a living carpet forms, holding soil in place and denying resources to any would-be invaders. But this power comes with a warning. Ryegrass is a sprinter, not a marathoner. And if left to set seed, escapes can become a management headache in future crops. For those seeking a cool season cover that fights weeds from below, the topsoil thief delivers a silent, relentless siege, one root at a time. Number 13, barley, the cool sprinter, stakes its claim as the early season champion in the battle for bare soil. While most cover crops hesitate in chilly or drought-stressed ground, barley leaps ahead, germinating at soil temperatures as low as 35 degrees Fahrenheit. This cold start advantage means barley is often the first green you'll see in late winter or early spring, outpacing weeds still waiting for warmth. In field trials across the semi-arid plains of Kansas and Nebraska, barley's roots have been clocked reaching 3 feet deep in just 6 weeks, tapping into pockets of moisture that weeds can only dream of. Its rapid emergence and drought resilience make it a go-to for dryland farmers, where every drop of water counts and every day of early growth matters. While barley's total biomass does not match the crushing weight of rye or triticale, its speed in cool, dry climates delivers a crucial head start, blanketing the ground before weeds can even break the surface. For growers in marginal zones, barley is the sprinter that turns cold, thirsty fields into weed-free territory, buying time until the next crop takes over. Number 14. Triticale, the hybrid scavenger, steps into the fray as a product of deliberate genetic ambition. Born from the union of rye and wheat, Triticale brings together the hardiness of its wild parent and the grain quality of its cultivated kin. In the field, this hybrid's vigor is unmistakable. Early in the growing season, Triticale surges ahead, producing up to 20% more above-ground biomass than wheat, a burst of green that blankets the soil and leaves little opportunity for weeds to emerge. But its real talent lies underground. Triticale's roots are relentless scavengers, reaching deep into marginal soils to capture residual nitrogen that would otherwise fuel a new generation of weeds. Field trials show that, even on low fertility ground, Triticale can outcompete annual invaders by denying them both moisture and nutrients, starving out competition before it can take hold. Its residue, with a balanced carbon-to-nitrogen ratio, decomposes at a rate that keeps soil covered without locking up fertility for the next crop. While the cost of hybrid seed can be a barrier, the payoff is clear. Triticale's hybrid vigor translates into a living shield, especially in fields where fertility is low and weed pressure runs high. For growers seeking a nutrient-hungry competitor that builds early biomass and leaves the soil richer for the next planting, the hybrid scavenger delivers a decisive edge. Number 15, Daikon radish, often called the bio drill, attacks weeds not with toxins or shade, but with brute underground force. Each seed sends down a thick taproot, plunging more than 2 feet through hardpan and compacted layers that choke out most crops. As this living drill fractures the soil, it creates vertical channels, biopores, up to 2 inches wide, running straight from the surface to the subsoil. These biopores are more than just cracks. They are highways for water, air, and the roots of future crops, transforming dense ground into an open, aerated seedbed. But the real weed-fighting magic emerges after winter. As the Daikon's giant root rots away, it leaves behind these empty tunnels, making it nearly impossible for weed seedlings to anchor themselves or compete for moisture and nutrients. Field studies show that a single season of Daikon can reduce surface compaction by over 30% and cut weed emergence in the following crop by breaking up the dense crust that most invaders require. For growers battling heavy, unyielding soils, the biodrill offers a mechanical solution to weed suppression. No sprays, no tillage, just the silent force of a root that rewrites the rules of competition from the ground up. Number 16. Hairy vetch, the biomass bank, transforms bare soil into a fortress of living mulch and nitrogen. In cool, temperate fields, vetch vines climb and sprawl, weaving a dense, tangled mat that can yield up to 7,000 pounds of biomass per acre by late spring. This sheer volume is not just for show. When terminated at early bloom, often with a roller crimper, the vetch flattens into a thick, fibrous blanket rich in nitrogen. That mulch acts as a physical barrier, denying sunlight and space to weeds for 6 to 8 critical weeks, the window when most annual invaders would otherwise surge. But the real magic lies beneath the mat. As it decomposes, hairy vetch releases from 100 to 150 pounds of fixed nitrogen per acre, priming the soil for the next crop and eliminating the need for synthetic fertilizer. Growers transplant directly through the rolled mulch, seeding vegetables or grains into a weed-free, nutrient-rich bed. The payoff is dramatic: vigorous crop stands, fewer weeds, and a living system that feeds itself. Yet this strategy demands timing and patience. Vetch's full weed-fighting power only arrives with maximum biomass, and early termination or low seeding rates can leave gaps. For those willing to master the rhythm, the biomass bank offers a generous return: abundant mulch, natural nitrogen, and a 6-week truce in the war on weeds, all without a drop of pesticide. Number 17. Crimson clover, the spring carpet, ushers in a living wave of weed suppression that begins quietly in autumn and erupts into action as winter recedes. Sown in late summer at 10 to 15 pounds per acre, crimson clover starts as a low, leafy rosette, hugging the ground and staking its claim before winter weeds can gain a foothold. As the cold breaks, this rosette transforms into a lush, crimson-tipped carpet, blanketing the soil and blocking sunlight from reaching the weed seed bank beneath. The effect is immediate. Spring weed density plummets as the dense cover denies light and space to would-be invaders. But crimson clover's power does not stop at physical smothering. As a legume, it quietly fixes up to 70 pounds of nitrogen per acre, priming the soil for the next crop while it holds back the weed tide. The cycle is swift. By late spring, the stand can be terminated or allowed to flower for pollinators, leaving behind both a weed-free surface and a burst of natural fertility. For growers seeking a fast-acting, dual-purpose ground cover, crimson clover offers a seasonal strategy: establish early, let the spring carpet roll out, and watch as weeds vanish beneath a blanket of red and green. Number 18. Red clover, the rotation stabilizer, plays the long game in the war against weeds. Unlike quick-burst smother crops or chemical assassins, red clover's strength lies in its quiet persistence across seasons. This perennial legume is sown not for one dramatic flush of suppression, but for its steady erosion of the annual weed seed bank over years of careful rotation. Managed as a continuous stand, red clover can cut the seed bank of annual weeds by nearly 40% by the third year, a transformation that unfolds slowly but decisively. The secret is in its rhythm. After each mowing, red clover regrows with renewed vigor, shading the soil and denying sunlight to any weed seeds lurking below. Its deep roots draw up nutrients and moisture, outcompeting shallow-rooted invaders and building soil fertility with every cycle of growth and regrowth. For growers willing to invest in time rather than instant results, red clover offers a stabilizing force, one that steadily depletes weed reserves while setting the stage for richer, more resilient rotations. In the patient landscape of regenerative agriculture, red clover is the quiet architect, laying the foundation for fields where weeds become a memory, not a menace. Number 19. Sweet clover, known in the field as the biennial bulldozer, brings a slow-motion siege to the world of weed suppression. In its first year, Mellilotus officinalis sends down a taproot that dives as deep as 4 feet, quietly breaking through compacted layers and opening up the soil for water and air. But the true show of force arrives in year 2, when sweet clover launches a vertical assault, rising into a 5-foot canopy that casts a broad shadow over perennial weeds. This towering cover starves out the light-hungry invaders below, steadily weakening their grip on the land. The biennial life cycle sets sweet clover apart. It does not deliver a knockout in a single season, but instead wears down persistent perennials over 2 full years, offering multi-year relief for growers tired of the same old weed battles. Beyond its weed-fighting credentials, sweet clover doubles as a hay crop and a prized honey source, drawing pollinators with its fragrant blooms. By the end of its cycle, fields are not only cleaner, but also richer, as the deep taproots leave behind channels for future crops and help build soil structure from the bottom up. For those seeking a patient, powerful ally in perennial weed suppression, the biennial bulldozer stands ready to clear the path, one season at a time. Number 20. Subterranean clover, the seed-burying nurse, closes the circle on natural weed suppression with a strategy as quiet as it is effective. This low-growing legume doesn't just sprawl across the ground, it plants the next generation itself. After pollination, its flower stalks curl downward, dragging burr-like seed pods half an inch to an inch below the soil surface. This self-burial ensures that even after grazing or mowing, a hidden seed bank waits out the dry summer, ready to sprout with the first autumn rains. In Mediterranean climates from California to southern Australia, volunteer stands of subclover can persist for years, rising again and again without the need for replanting. But the suppression doesn't stop at persistence. When incorporated as green manure in spring, subclover's lush biomass breaks down in as little as 4 weeks, flooding the soil with nitrogen and accelerating the decay of weed seeds before they can germinate. Field trials show that dense subclover mats can cut annual weed biomass by up to 87%, especially in cool, wet winters. While it produces less total biomass than giants like rye or vetch, its unique combination of self-reseeding, shallow seed burial, and rapid green manure decay makes it the ideal nurse crop for seed bank control. As the final act in this living arsenal, subterranean clover offers growers a quietly self-renewing shield, one that works below the surface to keep fields clean, fertile, and ready for whatever comes next. Across all 20 green assassins, one truth erupts. Nature's arsenal is more ruthless and precise than any chemical concoction. Whether unleashing allelopathic toxins, launching a 30-day eclipse, or smothering seed banks beneath a 6-foot jungle, these living weed killers prove ecological warfare is written in DNA. The real revolution isn't in new pesticides, it's rediscovering the ancient power of botanical strategy. The age of green herbicides is already here. Will we finally let nature do the fighting?